Hi, this is Kenny James, and you're listening to the FSF Podcast.
Our show would like to remind you that although people may say that Super Mario Brothers is unrealistic, just remember, if a plumber jumps on your head, you're gonna die, and he can take any coins you have.
Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which supports the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation that helps out sick kids when they need it most. And just imagine the comfort you'll give Red Shirt crewman number 913. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and joins the crew of the Enterprise in their struggle against King Koopa, that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund has his back, and what's left of his red shell.
All right, guys, our guest today is a voice actor who's helped bring to life the character of Bowser for Nintendo, but you can also hear his work on anime like Fire and Ice, Attack on Titan, Black Summoner, and there's a whole slew of other shows that our guest has lent his voice to. And so we are pleased as punch to welcome Kenny James to the FSF Podcast. Welcome to the show, Kenny.
Hey, thanks, man. Finally.
Well, yeah. Hey, well, best things in life are worth waiting for. So,
And then there's us.
And then there's us. And so sorry you waited for us, but we're not sorry we waited for you.
I mean, it's Bowser, so I'm super excited about it.
Exactly.
Although I told my daughter I was talking to Bowser, and she's like, "Oh gosh, no."
Oh, no.
She may have a small issue with the Jack Black Peaches song.
You know what?
I love it, and I won't stop singing it. So now she is like, every time I can't even walk by Peaches in the grocery store before she's like, "Mom, no."
No.
Love that kid.
I've only heard little snippets of it. It did not, just the snippets were enough to make me go, no, I don't think so.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't enjoy the song as much as I do if it didn't annoy my 4-year-old as much as it does.
Yeah, see? There's that.
Child annoyance is high on the list of any parent. When you have the opportunity to annoy a child, you take it.
Yep. But also, I mean, when we're playing Mario Kart, 9 times out of 10, it's I'm going to be Bowser. Why? Because he's big. And it's fun.
All right, Kenny. So one of the things that we love to do on our show is we love to talk to our guests about their origins, how they got started, how they became who they are, what they are, and got into the career path that they chose. And we're nerds. Nerds love a good origin story. So in the story of Kenny James, how did Kenny James become the voice actor that we know him to be today?
Ooh, man, you have to go back to about, my chair is so squeaky. Need to go back to about the year 2000 or 2001, somewhere around there. I had just gotten cable internet, and so no more dial-up and all that jazz. And I don't know, something struck me one day where I was like, hey, I've got fast internet where I could download a song in like 5 minutes. It was insane. Like a 3.5 meg song, and it would take 5 minutes to download. And that was on Napster, where it was coming in from all over. But anyway, and you will find out I tend to digress way too much.
That's fine.
We're okay with that.
There are no rails on this crazy train. It's all fine.
Yeah. So I decided, well, if I make myself a little website, I can do a voice demo all by myself and I'll be famous. And it doesn't work that way. I did build a little site using like Coffee Cup 9, and then I went and took a course at the University of Washington for commercials. And the instructor guy, he thought I was, had something going, at least for commercials. So he did production work to produce demos for people. So I had him produce a demo. And if I hadn't had that demo in hand, well, on the internet, I wouldn't be sitting here. But I also was in the right place at the right time. I used to work at Suburban Propane. I was a service tech for 13 years. And yeah, I used to sell propane and propane accessories. I'll tell you what. Dang it,
I
Bobby.
was thinking it.
Yeah, a lot of people do. But anyway, I was
Nice.
working with my service manager, and we were at this lady's house, and we are doing the stuff. And I remember that one of her, and this was on Bainbridge Island, Washington State. It's kind of a snooty island. I used to call it Snooty Island. They don't like people coming on their island.
Oh man.
But anyway, this lady had a smoke detector that was beeping, and it was at the top of about a 30-foot ceiling peak inside this great room of this house. And my boss decided, we've got a long enough ladder to get up there. So he's shaking. He climbed. I said, I'm not going up there. Climbed this ladder up to the peak of this lady's house inside and got the battery out of the smoke detector so it stopped, chirping. But anyway, while we were doing this, I was telling him about some jobs that I had done for a guy in Canada that was paying me like $8 or $9 a line to just do answering machine things, where I would do impersonations of Scooby and Shaggy and, or some guy with a heavy accent, and he would send me these little scripts. And I was like, yeah, I'm a professional voice actor. This lady goes, oh, you do voice work? And I said, I'm trying to get started. And she goes, well, I'm a part-time producer at Bad Animals. And I go, oh, yeah, I know Bad Animals. Never been there, but I know of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, next thing out of her trap was, do you have a demo? And I said, yes, I do. And gave her the web address. She listened to it. Her 14-year-old son listened to it. They thought, hey, this guy doesn't suck. So she sent it over to, yeah, I know. She sent it over to the production manager at Bad Animals, and she started sending me auditions. And I auditioned for a few things. I think they sent me 5 different roles in Sly Cooper 3, and I didn't get any of them. And I thought I did a pretty good job, but, how do I know? And besides that, if you don't have a thick enough skin, you'll never survive auditions, because
Right.
set it and forget it. Just don't sit and agonize over, oh, I really want that. I really want it. Don't do that. It'll drive you crazy. But anyway, so they recast Bowser, and they sent me the audition request, but it included the script from Super Mario Sunshine. And Scott Burns was the Bowser before me.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me his voice tracks. And raw tracks. It wasn't, finished product. It was the recordings. So there was bits and pieces of him, talking about other stuff and all kinds of stuff. But I assumed, because they didn't specify, I assumed that they wanted a voice match because they sent me his voice tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did my best Scott Burns. I was, Mario, how dare you disrupt my family vacation? And a couple of weeks later, I get an email that said, you got the job. So I was all like, okay, now what? I had been in recording studio for music before on several occasions, but had never done voiceover ever. But I was pretending like I do. Fake it till you make it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But, because I did. I walked in there like, all right, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know what a microphone is. Sure. Let's do this thing. And, luckily, really kind of luckily for me, the first game was Super Mario Strikers, which may actually answer one of your next questions. But anyway, and there's not a lot of Bowser to that, really. I mean, nothing involved. He drops in to the soccer pitch and, and then roars and blows some fire, and then he flies away.
Right.
Weird. Who knew he could fly, But The second session was Mario Kart Wii and the first Galaxy, and I did them both in one session. So they started kind of ramping up production because the Wii was fixing to come out.
Okay.
Because Strikers was on the GameCube.
Yeah.
But anywho, that's the long story of it. I was in the right place at the right time with a produced demo in my little paws, or at least the web address where you could go listen to it.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. It was just chance. But I didn't start acting until I was 40, both on stage and voice work pretty much at the same time. I decided, pig-headedly that I was going to go and be an actor. So I'm going to go and I'm going to audition for a stage musical. And I did. And I got a decent part. And it just went from there. My second show, I got the lead. So at the same time, I'm auditioning for stuff and wind up getting Bowser, and wish it paid better, but yeah. You don't get residuals on video games. So
Understood.
yeah.
So a quick follow-up to that now, because now I'm curious. Now you said that you went for a stage musical.
Oh,
so
yeah.
what was the musical that you got the lead on?
Oh, the one I got the lead on. Well, the first show that I did was Man of La Mancha, and that was Dr. Carrasco, Knight of the Mirrors, and what was he called in prison? The Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got that part, and I was all like, wow, cool. The next thing I auditioned for after that was over was Carousel.
Oh.
And I wound up getting Billy Bigelow after my audition, and they ran me through scales and stuff. And the music director was the same guy who played Cervantes in the Man of La Mancha production. But I was getting ready to go to my car, and they stopped me and said, "Hey, we just want to save a phone call. We want you to play Billy." And I was all like, "No." And they were like, "What?" I said, "No." I go, "I'm not ready for that. This is my second show ever. And you want me to bite off that much?" I go, "I don't know. No. And they were like, "We think you could do it." And I go, "I don't know, man. That's a lot of pressure." "Well, we think you can do it." "Okay, I'll do it."
Yeah. That's a big role.
It was, yeah. A lot of singing, had lots of lines. I think the most line heavy show that I ever did, though, was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I was R.P. McMurphy, and that is a massive line load.
Yes, it is.
On stage almost the entire time. There's a couple of times where I would have to go off, do a quick change, because the scene changes real quick, and then back on in a different outfit.
Yeah.
Straight jacket.
Right.
Never forget the straight jacket change. That was fun.
How do you quickly get into and out of a straitjacket?
A couple of people helping. All I did was stand there and go like this, and they'd put that thing on, and they'd wrap it around, and they'd start doing buckles.
Oh, man.
And I'm all like, okay, I'm ready to go.
It's not like there's an easy way out of them. That's kind of their point.
Yeah, it was fun, though. I had a lot of fun. I did probably 25 shows in 10 or 11 years.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
It's 2 a year average,
Right.
And but man, I hate memorizing things. Memorization is just the worst for me. I just hate it.
It's hard.
I wrote songs that I couldn't remember back when I was in bands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had cheat sheets for songs that I wrote.
Yeah, there's a lot to try to keep up there. I get it.
Considering that I have a hard time remembering things if I don't write them down, I can't imagine having to try to memorize, because I'm going to use that later. Rememberize, because memorization. Yeah, that's not going to happen for me.
If it wasn't for these things, now
I'd be so screwed.
I would forget so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
See, and it's funny is like I struggle with that too. I have to keep track of my schedule, my mother-in-law's schedule because I take care of her, my daughter's schedule, what my husband's work schedule is, the podcast schedule, and then it's There's no way to try to keep track of everything. But you know what? I can remember stupid song lyrics that I sang in high school
Oh,
choir.
sure. I can remember every note. I don't play guitar, but I know every note of so many guitar solos.
I remember my childhood phone number that's been disconnected for 15 years.
I only remember one, but it's later, more like junior high, high school. But I don't remember ones when I was littler than that, when we still had a rotary phone. No, I'm not kidding. I'm 60
No,
years. I just turned 60 a few days ago.
Oh man, you don't look it.
I remember two phone numbers from my youth, and both of them were my buddies' houses. And I remember those. I don't remember any of my own phone numbers, from the houses that I lived in as a kid. But my buddies' phone numbers, yeah, those are still etched in my brain.
Yeah, when she was saying that before, when she said your husband's work schedule,
oh gosh,
I started laughing. It's because we have a whiteboard on our refrigerator, for grocery lists and stuff like that. My wife had to write down her work schedule because I just couldn't remember it.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that.
Fair.
Yeah, because she's got like days where she works 9 to 6, and then she's got days where it's like 12 to 5, and then there's a couple of days where it's 10 to 4 or something. I see. I don't remember.
I get it. I get it. We have
the refrigerator and go, oh yeah, she's off at 5 today. Okay.
Yeah, we've got the whiteboard calendar in our fridge too, because then we all can see what are we doing today? How many podcast interviews are there today? Does anybody have any doctor's appointments? Is my husband covering for his coworker? Like, yeah, no, I get it. It's ridiculous. Kenny, I did not have a lot of gaming experience before my husband and I got together. We didn't have a game console until 2006. Yeah, and it was a PS2, and I think the only reason we got it was for Dance Dance Revolution for my sister's graduation party. Like, that was the sole purpose behind buying it, was DDR at my sister's graduation party. So when my husband and I bought a Switch so that we could play Mario Kart with our daughter, I got very, very happy because I am now the top of our Mario Kart charts at our house.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun. And then he got me Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which have both been amazing. But talking about games and doing voiceover for games, do you play any of the games that you've done voices for?
I've played a few.
Is it weird hearing your own voice come out of a video game?
No, it's fun. I still remember my wife actually bought me or bought us a GameCube just because that game came out. And then she wound up not hawking it, but she's got rid of the GameCube, but we kept the disc. It was one of those little ones. And I was like, is that it? With that game, I was like, that's it. Okay. I didn't get a lot in there, did I? But then when Galaxy came out, and I got to fight myself every time you're going to the next stage. I was all like, dude, I sound so cool. It's great. And there's in Mario Kart Wii, there's an ad lib that they used. And I was actually playing it at home when I found that out. When you win a race as Bowser, or any character, you win a race and they have their little celebration thing. They're still in their cart and they're moving, but they're not holding the steering wheel anymore.
Yeah.
They're waving their arms around and stuff. Well, if you do that as Bowser, it randomizes the celebration noises. And one of them, though, is I did that because I ran out of stuff to do. They said, give us a whole bunch of celebratory Bowser-y stuff. And, so blah, blah, blah. And then finally just like neener, neener. And they used it. They put it in the game. And I was I was so jazzed. I just dropped the controller. I was all like, did you guys hear that? What?
That's awesome, though.
Because you never know when it's going to do it,
Right.
It's kind of random.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, Did that answer that question? I think I did.
It did. It
Okay,
did. I
good.
would just the idea of hearing my own voice if I did video games like that is so weird to me. But I also know that I'm going to go and play any of the Mario games later and be like, I talked to him.
Well, Bowser is such a. I think I've said 4 or 5 words in English in 18 years. So, but it is still. I mean, it takes sometimes 4 hours to record for a game. That's how much, damage they try to do to me.
Right.
No, they're actually very nice about it. They'll be like, okay, we're gonna have you in on Monday for 2 hours, and then we're gonna do Tuesday for 2 hours, and then have Wednesday, don't book your flight home until 3:30 in case we have to pick something up on Wednesday.
Wow.
But the last time I was in recording, I did it about total of 3 and I want to say 3.25 hours or so. And so I woke up Wednesday. First thing I did, I picked up my phone in the hotel and I looked at it. Good, there's a text message. And it was Wendy at the studio. And she was all like, it's a wrap. Have a nice trip home. And I was all like, yeah. I didn't have to go back in and pick anything up. Because it usually takes overnight. They send everything to Japan, and it all has to be approved by Japan. So
Sure, that makes sense.
I'm global Bowser.
You are.
I get that question a lot though. People will be at cons and stuff. They'll be like, "So have you met the guy who's Bowser in Japan?" I was like, "I am Bowser in Japan. I'm Bowser everywhere."
That's
Except the movie.
Except the movie,
movie.
yes.
When you were replaced by Jack Black.
Yeah. Oh well. Nothing I can do about it. I understand Hollywood,
I would say that's not an uncommon occurrence where the voice actor for the game or even the TV shows are replaced by, what they consider to be bigger name stars. And,
of
because
course they want to do A-listers so that they can put more heinies in seats.
exactly. Yeah, they're trying to put butts in seats. I get it, but
It worked. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
you can see how big the fandom is for this game series franchise because I think it was just 2 weekends, they globally were already near $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
I will say that I absolutely loved the movie.
I haven't seen it, so.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it either. So
I get a lot of people come up to my table and go, "I thought the movie was really great. Did you see it?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Why?" And I go, "Why should I?
Right? Yeah.
I'm not in it."
right.
So it's like I'm not going to rush out to see it. Let's put it that way. I'm certainly not going to go to movie theaters. I don't like movie theaters. So a lot of people love that experience. Me, nope.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What's funny is I used to be a big fan of movie theaters until the pandemic hit, and then I could stream movies, and I realized how much I enjoy just streaming and making my own popcorn and being able to pause it when I have to pee.
You can pause. That's, there's a reason why they make TVs really big and really inexpensive now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We can watch things at home, on a 75-inch TV or whatever. So.
Right. And especially with a little kid, it's like, I'm not taking her for a movie that she's going to have to pee 4 times during, and 8 times of the mom, I'm bored. Nah, we're going to go home. We're going to watch this at home when I can pause it.
Or the just a little too loud. Why did he do that?
Right. Yeah.
Is that the same guy?
Yup.
Yeah.
Anyway. They said a bad word.
Yeah.
Speaking of children. Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know about all that, but so my daughter is a huge anime fan. Me, not so much. I struggle with anime from time to time. I've tried to get into it because it's one of her interests, and give us something to do together and watch together. And outside of Star Wars Visions, I'm having a real hard time with anime and the whole bit. But anyway, IMDb we're finding doesn't have all of your anime work for
Yeah.
some reason, because as we like to call IMDb, it's the Wikipedia of the entertainment world.
Yeah, it
But we
hasn't
have
caught up.
it hasn't caught up. Okay, but we found out that you've there's listings for like One Piece that you should have had on there, Attack on Titan, My Senpai is Annoying, a few others that aren't listed.
Let's
So
see.
my question here for you.
One Piece. There's Miyagi.
Okay.
He's my most recurring character on One Piece. He's a goat and a doctor. King Fritz in Attack on Titan. This one's autographed.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Nice.
This guy was in Fire Force. Did an episode of Fire Force. They offed that guy. One and done. That's what I always call it anyway. One and done. And then this guy in several episodes of a certain scientific railgun. And
Okay.
spoiler, he pulls that trigger. So but yeah, I've done tons of stuff that I can't even remember some of the shows because I make a joke of it at panels. When people they're asking questions and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing a lot of anime now, and I go, yeah, you guys have probably heard of my my most popular character. Ooh, and they perk up, and I go, yeah, it's additional voices. That's what most of it is. One episode here, one episode there, man 2F, or whatever, done. You're lucky if you even get, additional voices credit, because sometimes it's limited how many voices they can list.
Okay.
It has to do with Japan and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know the semantics of it all. I don't even know if that's the right word. Anyway, you're about to ask a question before I so rudely kept talking.
No, I shut up because I was listening to what you were saying. I liked it. So, Kenny, what was the draw for you for anime, and what have you learned about, or what was your biggest challenge in learning how to dub into those series?
Well, good questions. I started doing conventions in 2018.
Okay.
So I was starting to rub elbows with people, other people. It took me a long time to accept celebrity, but other celebrities, I used to get the point from Alice Cooper across the green room. Cool.
Nice.
I haven't seen him in a long time though. But anyway, so I'm starting to hang out with people that did anime and stuff, and I'm all like, these people are kooky. I mean, this is great. And I kept threatening to move to Dallas. I was like, I'm going to move to Dallas so I can do anime, and they'd be like, you should. I'm gonna. We'll do it. I will. And so I went home from, I don't remember what show it was. It was probably sometime, it might have been after Pensacon 2019. So that would have been in January of 2019. Might have been that. I went home and I said, hey, what do you think about putting the house up for sale and moving to Dallas? My wife goes, okay. So I was like, cool. So we prepped the house, got the outside painted and all this stuff, and put it on the market, and it sold in its first weekend.
Oh boy.
Oh,
I know. It was a 1905, really old house, and not in a really great neighborhood, but somebody wanted it. So
Perfect.
but anywho, so that's the first part. It was the influence of these other anime actors. And I really wanted to get into something where I could speak English. That would be great. I mean, besides doing things like interrupting people's Spotify playlists, to tell them about uses of, for Post-it notes. I did a whole series of those. We interrupt your Spotify playlist, to tell you about use number, 5 for Post-it notes. Yeah, I don't remember what they were, but either that or car commercials. I've got some East Coast, somewhere in the East Coast car commercials that I've been doing. But anyway, so I wanted to do some acting, but speak English. And what I had to learn though, and I did the same thing with anime that I did with Nintendo. I went in there acting like I know what I'm doing. And it's ADR. The only ADR I had ever done was a friend of mine in Bremerton, Washington, has a really nice little studio built that he built separate from his house. It's like self-contained. And I went and was doing some just workout stuff with him. And he was like, okay, I want you to do this. And he had a couple pieces of copy that were like network TV promos. So the audio, you hear what the audio is from the TV show, and you get beeps that lead you into, Monday night on ABC. And you hear another clip because it's TV, you're watching the clip. Mm-hmm. And the voiceover just happens between little bits of clips, and, like animation domination. But I was like, okay, this is fun, having to try to nail these things like this. Well, that's what you have to do with anime. You get beep, boop, beep, fourth imaginary beep. That's where you're supposed to go. So you watch it in Japanese and you're looking at the script and you're trying to look at the animation at the same time. If we had chameleon eyes, it would make it a lot.
Right, it would be way easier.
But they run it through the J, or the Japanese, we just call it the J. And then immediately, pretty much, they're go. And this time the Japanese is out. You'll still hear sound effects and music. And if any other English actors have already recorded, you'll hear their tracks. But sometimes you're just all by yourself. Sometimes you're the first person to record in that portion of that show. And so they beep, 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 and you do the line and hope that the beginning flap and the end flaps flap right. Sometimes the internals aren't so important, unless there's a pause or there's a reaction that's supposed to be in there, like you're talka, oh, talka, then you have to get that part right. But, having a past musical kind of a thing, where I was a lead singer for a bunch of different bands. So timing just sort of is in there. So I'll watch it that one time and it's like time. Okay, remember that. And then when they go back and I do my own thing, then I know I've got time. So anyway, so that's how that works.
Makes sense.
I know, 5-minute answer to a 1-minute question.
We like the long answers. That's okay.
You know what?
Actually,
that way you don't have to ask as many questions.
There's that. We talked to other voice actors too who've done English dubs for anime and talking about the lip flap, trying to make sure that the lip flap lines up. And I'm like, that would be really hard. And you don't want it to look like a cheesy 80s movie. You want to actually make sure that it does.
You want to fight? Fight me.
Yep. The engineers are really good. And like the engineers and directors, everybody I've worked with are great. But the engineers can save you sometimes from having to do multiple takes because they'll either move something on their own or the director will look back, they'll watch it back and you're just standing in there waiting and they'll watch it back and then he'll be like, okay, can you just squish that a little bit and move it just a bit to the left, or can you lengthen that just a teeny bit and then move it a little bit to the left? And they move the sound to fit the video, but they can only do so much before it gets out of like wonky.
Right.
Oh, sure.
And then you're just doing another take, and we're always rewriting lines in the scripts on the fly too, because sometimes the adaptive script writers, they'll write something but when you go to try to put it in practice, It's like, that's just too long or it's too short. We're getting used to me with Miyagi now because I decided he's a goat that I should, make him goat like at times. So there'll be times where I do that. Usually it's on words that start with vowels though, so that
Okay.
everything, I'll goat it up. Well, Anthony figured out after a while, Anthony Bowling, he was like, all right, he goes, every time you do that goatee thing, I have to remove at least a syllable. So let me try this. Ticky, 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 ticky. And he changes the script and then I do it. He goes, every time you get goatee, we got to take a syllable out. Because it does, it lengthens it. Instead of saying because, because.
Right.
Whenever he gets scared or does something strenuous, it's hilarious because I get all yeah, it's fun stuff.
As it should be. Oh goodness.
Wow.
While doing research for the interview, I found some obscure notes on the Mario Wiki that said that you had done a couple of audio series for Doctor Who. Is that accurate?
Yeah. They weren't nothing big time, but one guy is in the UK, and there was another one that I did that the guy was in Australia.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, some of it's pretty funny. Definitely the guy in the UK, I don't know if he still calls his thing Damn Audio or Damn Productions. It was DAM. He's still got a website that has all that stuff on it. But yeah, I got to do some really goofy things. He does a very kind of tongue-in-cheek, even more cheeky than the real Doctor Who.
And that's possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So I played Patty the pissed off dwarf, which it was kind of a leprechaun kind of a thing that I did with that. I'm a pissed off dwarf and, blah, 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 but I just wanted to kill him, and then I did the tartan guardian. That was more of a Scottish kind of thing. Yeah, almost like fat bastard.
Nice.
That's kind of what I was kind of going for. I go, you want me to do like a fat bastard thing? And he's like, yeah, that'd probably work, or he's more like, yeah, that would probably work. Actually, I've never heard him in person. I just, when I would read his emails, I would put an English accent on it. So.
Well, that just makes sense. I mean, he obviously wrote it that way.
Actually, well, I never talked to him, but I did hear him because he always played the Doctor on his own series. So. Yeah, I even wrangled my wife into that once. He was like, can you do all these town people? And I was like, all right. And then one of them was a female. So I got my wife to do it. And all she had to do was say, hey, the monkey's getting away. Only a little more excited.
Right.
But she doesn't do accents. And she had never recorded anything before. So I just stood her up in front of a mic and I was like, say it. She's like, hey, the monkey's getting away. And I go, no, do it like this. Hey, the monkey's getting away. And I would just say it. And then she would say it right after me. And then I just cut everything else out and sent him that. So
that's awesome.
So yeah. So now, we can still listen to that. And she's all like, oh, it's so funny.
Stand here, say this, go.
Yeah, what was that episode? That was one of the things that they call short trips. They're only a few minutes long. And that one was called Monkey something. Can't remember.
So not associated with Big Finish Audio?
No.
Okay. Because we've talked to a couple people who are with Big Finish and they do a lot of Doctor Who audio drama type stuff. And so, but yeah, so when you were starting off with that, that's what I thought you were referring to. But
hey, look,
okay. Did you find it?
I did.
You did?
I found it. Damn Productions.
I was just starting to search
She's our Google expert on this show.
There's several episodes that I'm in on that. I did a serious one for the guy in Australia. I played a ship captain, and I didn't have to be like a spaceship captain, and I didn't have to have an accent. I just went with gruff American. Hey kid, blah blah blah.
There you go.
Wow, he's got a lot of them.
Oh yeah, I for all I know, he's still doing those things. And I know he built a really cool TARDIS.
This will be this will be a rabbit hole that she falls down and will spend much time on later tonight.
It doesn't look like there's one recently, but
no, I don't think so.
Gee.
There's the short trips though. I can't remember what the names of them. One of them had something to do with an amusement park. That was the one with Patty the pissed off dwarf, and his sidekick, the doctor's sidekick, guy named Mike.
Mm-hmm.
All he could talk about was this amusement park. We can go to the haunted house and the roller coaster and the roller coaster house and the haunted roller coaster. And it's just all these things, But then hell breaks loose when Patty shows up. Patty the pissed off dwarf.
Love it.
Oh my word.
Yeah,
I'm totally going to be falling down this rabbit hole later. Oh my word.
Monkey something. Dang, I can't remember. Oh well.
I might avoid the Here Come the Clowns episode though. That sounds terrible.
That's probably
Pansy.
Yeah, that's I don't think I was in that one. I didn't do a lot for him, but I did a few. And I think I'm on the credits. So when you click on a title, it'll say who's in it, But yeah, that was a while back.
It is, but it was.
That was my first microphone, just sitting with a regular a straight microphone stand, sitting on a rug so that the floor wouldn't make noise into the mic stand. It was recorded in the kitchen, the dining room area of this really crappy little house that we used to live in. That was just all like, sounds good to me. Now I'd be able to fix it better because I use Adobe Audition and so
right.
I could have done it better instead of letting him do all the editing, even though I think he may have put it on that website, the outtakes from when I was Patty the pissed off dwarf. Yeah, because I screwed up a couple of times and just started laughing, but one of the times that I messed up, I said, "Oh, son of a bitch and crap." And he said him and his wife just rolled. And I was all like, I don't know, I was just messing up and I just kept rolling. I didn't have a way to edit it. So I would just send him raw sound files. Let him do the edit. All right, anyway.
Oh no, we love little stories like that. That's great. All right, so Kenny, we have a Facebook group with over 212,000 members in it, and one of the most popular topics in there is memes. That's one of the most popular things that comes in there, and it's some of the tropes where this character finds themselves in that universe. That's always the most popular thing, the mashups where this guy's not supposed to be in this universe, but he is. So if you could take one of your characters and have them end up in another universe by design or by accident, who would you pick and where would you send them?
Oh man. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think of something I can mash Nintendo with something else. Well, let's see. People are always telling me that, oh, it must be terrible that Bowser loses all the time. I'll be at a panel. I'll be like, what? Well, your character gets beat all the time. And I go, how many times does Bowser whoop your ass before you figure the pattern out?
Yep.
I'll stand there and go, I'm 20-1. So let's go. Let's take Iron from Fire Force. We'll take Iron and we'll throw him in as Bowser's backup. He's got Bowser's back because that way maybe Mario will finally just eat it. probably shouldn't
Fair
say
enough. Fair enough.
Bowser will finally get the girl.
yeah, because this guy shoots fire too, and he could harden his skin. Martensight. So, yeah.
Now I'm picturing as this guy just standing over there behind Bowser, like, suck it, pipe jockey.
Yeah,
just
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, he could stand in front of Bowser,
right.
because Martensight. He was like a wrestler. That's kind of. I was like, how come you didn't get Chris Rager to do this?
Oh yeah.
He was all like, I don't know. I don't think I could I didn't get a hold of him or something. I was like, oh, good. I'll take it.
There
Right.
you go.
Darn. Oh, I will take the job for him.
Only one episode, but
Oh, goodness.
one and done, as I say, because, they figured out how to take this guy out and it worked. And then his last line was, no fair.
Oh,
Aw.
that's sad. Oh, goodness. So with your experience in voice acting, that from the gist of what we're getting is all happenstance and faking it till you make it, which I think is kind of fantastic, actually. So what advice would you give to an aspiring voice actor to help them get started?
Well, I tell you, I profess theater a lot. People are like, "What? I want to be a voice actor," and I'm like, "Well, if you want to be a voice actor, first be an actor, because voice acting is still acting, and a lot of times it's actually more stressful, I think, than acting in front of people. I don't know why. There's just something odd about being in a little room by yourself, and there's people on the other side of the glass, and you're trying to do something that they like, and it can be kind of weird. But another thing, if you don't want to, do community theater, it doesn't cost anything except for transportation, really.
Right.
Sometimes, you got to go to Goodwill and try to find a costume piece or something. That's where every suit I think I've worn. No, not all of them, but almost every suit that I've had on stage has come from Goodwill. I'd be like, "Ooh, this one's nice. Only $10. Cool. Hey, I look good."
One and done.
Yeah. So another thing is read out loud. Practice reading, because voice work is reading. And you have to be able to sound natural while you're reading. So it's not a bad idea to record yourself while you're doing that and critique yourself, because you can listen back to yourself, and almost nobody likes the sound of their own voice.
That's true.
When they hear it played back. That's because we sound different inside our head than we do to people outside of our head.
Very true.
But you can self-critique yourself. You can listen to something and go, I don't sound like real, So try it again. Try to loosen up, Try to not think about it. But you need to practice reading, because when you're reading a script, you sort of have to read ahead, which doesn't sound real, but it is. Your brain you're saying one thing, but you're already scanning a word or two ahead, so that you know what's coming. You know where the punctuation is. Because there's been a lot of times where I've heard people reading something and they had no idea that a stop was coming, and so the inflection is wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, and then you're gonna have to do it again, but be able to read something and not sound like you're reading, especially if it's a character of some sort.
Oh, sure.
But there's lots of voice work out there for people who don't want to do character work. Bill DeWeese in the Chicago area, he has a huge YouTube channel, lots of help for people. His Twitter, he's putting videos out on Twitter all the time now, and some live stuff. And he coaches. He does straight work. And he probably makes $250,000 a year or more. Makes more than I do. makes a lot more than I do because I'm lazy. I'm one of the I'm one of the laziest people in the planet. I don't actively seek work very much, you know. Um, Plus, I have a pretty busy convention schedule. So yeah, so practice and get a demo made. I mean, once you feel like you can get up there, you feel like you're viable. Um, get a demo made because one of the first things somebody's going to ask you, if you go, I do voice work, they're going to be, where's your demo?
Right.
And you go, I don't have one. They'll go, next. Thank you.
Right.
Gotta go. But I'm trying to think of something else. There was, I thought, something else I was going to say, but it must not have been very important. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, learn how to act, man, especially with theater, because if you can get up in front of a theater audience and do something live like that, that's an achievement. And you've been directed, you know, you've learned how to develop a character during the process of rehearsals and all that. I have no process, you know, I don't have a process. I never did when I was in theater until I started watching too many videos and things. And then I was all like, wait, should I be concentrating on the moment before? Well, what was my character doing right before I opened this door and walked out on stage? You know, I don't really worry about that kind of stuff. A lot of people do, you know, they have their different acting methods, you know, including the method. But there are also really great actors that are like me. Bill Nighy, from Shaun of the Dead and what is that? Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, the octopus head. What was it? Davy Jones. But I've seen interviews with him where he's all like, I don't really think about it. I just play the character. Just do it.
Right.
Like, that's brilliant. Yeah. Practice, you know, especially the reading and trying to get out in front of people, because if you can't get out in front of people, you're not going to be able to stand in a glass, you know, a booth and look at somebody through the glass.
That's true.
It's not one person. It's an engineer, director, and one or two producers. So I've had sessions where Japan was watching me via a laptop that was sitting right next to the microphone. I couldn't see them, but I went, "What's this?" And they go, "Click." They go, "That's Japan. They're watching." And I was all like, "Whoa." So then I was like, so I'm continuing. I started goofing on them sometimes. Yeah. I would go, and then I'd look at the computer and go, huh? Huh? So they got a kick out of it. So,
Nice.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
All right. Excellent. All right, Kenny, one final question, and we call it our silly question. So you can answer this as serious or as silly as you would like. Okay?
Hey.
Now, as a young person, may get asked this a lot, but not so much as an adult. And Kathleen and I fully believe that this should be a question that everybody gets asked.
Yep.
Kenny James, what's your favorite dinosaur?
That's great. Man, I gotta say T-Rex.
They are pretty
The
cool.
first thing that popped into my head. A lot of people like the more docile, you know, Vegisauruses and stuff, but I like the viciousness and the size of the teeth, all that stuff. If they really were like that, and you know the bones are like that, we don't know that they sounded like you know, Jurassic Park, but you know, and for them to, I don't get how they can say, oh, don't move. His movement's based on, or his vision's based on movement. And I'm like, how can you tell that from a skeleton?
Right.
There was etchings of a caveman who was trying to not move.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I love T-Rex and velociraptors.
philosophy.
Nice.
For some reason, I like the villain dinosaurs.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
Then there's me with my Parasaurolophus over here that I'm like,
At least you can say it.
I can. I also have a 4-year-old and had to relearn how to say dinosaur names. Oh my goodness. Kenny, we have enjoyed talking to you so much tonight.
I gotta get going too.
Where can our viewers and our listeners go to find out more about you and your work?
Well, I'm terrible at social media, but I'm on the Instagrams. It's Kenny James Bowser. I wouldn't even bother with Twitter. I never tweet. But that's also if you look up Kenny James, it's still Kenny James Bowser, but because they don't have enough characters, I had to cut the E out of Bowser.
Okay.
So it's Bowser with SR at the end instead of ER. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Facebook, but I don't Facebook either.
I don't blame you.
If I do post things, it's usually on Instagram, and and then it winds up spilling over to Facebook. But
Yeah.
Right. The auto share.
I need to start doing live stuff again every once in a while. But and also people can get a really cool Bowser scarf, or she's doing Pokemon and stuff now too, and she does Harry Potter themed stuff. My wife knits, and she makes these really soft, cool looking scarves that she comes up with the patterns herself. And
Oh, nice.
she's on the Instagrams, but it's she doesn't know how to do stuff. So her name on there is like c.j.s_custom_crafts. But I bet if you just put CJ's Custom Crafts, it'll probably pop up. But yeah, she'll make stuff to order,
Oh, that's cool.
And it doesn't
Check that out.
She loves, that's all she does. She gets home, she changes clothes. If food's ready, she'll get some food, and then she's back at it.
That's awesome.
Either that or crocheting. She makes these really cool little animal cozies for like stemless wine glasses.
Oh, cool.
They got little animal faces on them and stuff. They're cute. She does good work. She likes it.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely link your socials and your wife's social because now I want to go look at her.
Well, good, because the last podcast I did, she wound up, I don't know, some guy wanted all kinds of stuff, and then he also wanted one of these.
Oh, that's cool.
These are hard to find. Actually, I don't think they make these anymore. This was officially licensed, but it's a 6x6 canvas with a wooden frame. And I took paint pens and colored it, and she took pictures, and then I autograph it, and off it goes.
That's awesome.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, and I tried to find some more of those because I was like, I should keep these on my table. But it's going to be spendy for me to color that in front of somebody so that it's, they know it's legit, He colored right in front of me. That's going to cost you. If autographs are $40, that's going to cost you.
Yeah, no, I get to that. Yeah, makes sense.
Anywho.
That's awesome.
I love doing conventions, though. Get to hang out with fans all day. It's freaking great.
Right?
Keeps my ego inflated. Sometimes a couple of months between shows, and I'm all like, I'm nobody.
They forgot
I go to a show, and it's all like, oh, yes, Mr. James, we have your car waiting. Oh, yeah, cool.
Nice. All right, guys. Hey, we want to remind you right now that subscribing is the single most important thing that you can do to help our show continue to grow and get these amazing guests like Kenny James to come on and talk with us about his career, what he does, and have funny moments for you guys to be able to listen to. So please subscribe, and it really, honestly, it helps out more than we can ever tell you. But go check out Kenny's work and his wife's Instagram as well. We'll have those down in the show notes below for you guys to be able to follow along and see what they've got going on and order yourself some cool stuff. Now, however, if you are not happy with the content of our show today, please feel free to lodge a complaint with the head of our complaint department. That, of course, is Bowser, King Koopa himself. We
We're
can
so
run.
doomed.
We can run. We can hide. We can even have Toad tell him that we're in another castle, but he knows better. He invented that shtick. So please give us a suitable head start and maybe even a superstar to give us a bit of an advantage. We're not fireproof, guys. We're only podcasters. Thank you,
Oh,
Kenny.
goodness.
We've really enjoyed your time.
Thank you, man. It was fun. I appreciate
All right,
it.
guys. That's going to conclude us for the FSF podcast. Goodbye.
Copyright 2023 FSF Podcast.
Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by the guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com. Original music by Jordan Michaels.